Welcome back to the Now Morning Show, just about 5 minutes before 7 o'clock. And the talk of the town has been the RIC draft determination for the electricity transmission and distribution sector of Trinidad and Tobago. And this morning, I want to welcome the chairman of RIC, Dawn Callender, who joins us on set alongside the executive director of the RIC, Mr. Glenn Khan. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Now, for those who may not know, I'm going to start with you, Ms. Callender. Tell me, what is the RIC all about, and what business does it have with TNTech in general?
So the RIC is the only body in Trinidad and Tobago authorized to set rates for TNTech and WASA.
Right.
We regulate the electricity sector, and we regulate water and wastewater in the country. So that's our authority to set the rates. It's enshrined in our Act.
Right. And just to be clear, the RIC is a government body.
The RIC, we consider ourselves to be an independent state organization.
Okay.
We are appointed by the president. Our commissioners are very independent-minded. We are not influenced, and I say that in the context, not that anyone has tried to influence us, but we've gone about our work very independently and with an independent mindset.
All right. Mr. Khan, the fact that there's only one TNTech, there's only one WASA, there's no competition or anything like that. So why is it RIC is important to regulate the rates of these public organizations?
That is the reason why there is regulation. I just want to, I'll come to you just now, but I'll just follow up. The thing is that only the government can regulate anything. Only the government has the power. Sometimes it does it directly through a ministry.
Right.
Or alternatively through an agency, which is supposed to be independent. So that is why the chairman said the RIC is an independent agency.
Right.
Okay?
Understood.
So when there is no competition, you have to create an environment which replicates competition. And that is what the RIC seeks to do.
Okay.
In its,
Makes sense. Now, some people have been expressing concerns that RIC is not following the law. Any explanation you're care to give to that, to those comments?
Well, we've heard those comments also. I think to some extent they may be, I don't know if designed to create mischief, but they certainly have created a little bit of mischief and concern. As I would have mentioned, our commissioners are very independent, but more than that, we're very concerned with governance, and we would always work within the parameters of the law. I think the genesis of that comment, though, concerned the fact that there are two sections of the Act under which we can perform a rate review. We are using Section 48, and Section 48 allows the RIC to initiate the rate review. There is another section, Section 49, in which the service provider, in this case TNTech, can initiate a review, come to the RIC.
Okay.
If they initiate the review, they would have to discuss the existing rates, the formula by which those rates were formulated, and also the proposal they're bringing forward.
That's if they were to initiate
That is a TNTech's responsibility, nothing to do with the RIC.
So then what is the price review for TNTech that the RIC has done? What is that meant to do then?
Well, a price review is really meant to ensure the operations, the efficiencies of the service provider. We know, for example, that we've been having a few brownouts here and there.
Brownouts, not blackouts?
Well, there was actually quite an extensive one that happened in March last year. And then we've had some other smaller ones. And if you trace that back, you really have to think of, does TNTech have the resources to provide the service that we expect? We've come to expect a higher quality service and all the rest of it. We travel, our citizens are travel, and they see what happens internationally, and they would like to enjoy that same level of service. And of course, there's a cost to providing that service, and that's why the rates have to change.
Now, one of the things that came to light when this whole thing started was the fact that people haven't been paying their bills, so TNTech hasn't been collecting as they ought to. So people have been asking the question, why raise the rates rather than make the company more efficient in terms of collection?
Well, it's not, when you say people, I think that's a little general. The large receivables really are in the state enterprises and the government, not households, because households can be cut off.
Okay, so that makes it even better. Makes it even better.
No, but you must clear that. You must be clear on that,
no
right?
problem,
So it's
no
not
problem.
just individuals like you and me,
Right.
not paying,
Right.
It's people who you can't cut off, basically, right? So, but the other thing is that the rate review is forward-looking.
Okay.
It's not backward-looking. So this rate review is for 2023 and to 2027. So all of the funds that we are providing TNTech with, it is for future use, not what has happened. So while that is important to note,
But it seems like a Peter pay for Paul situation.
not really,
Because if it is you're saying that the state agencies, for example, are some of the people who are not paying, and we can't cut them off because it's essential services, etc. Right? But they're not paying the bills, and then now the citizenry have to face increased tariffs or potentially increased tariffs.
But that is for the services that you will get, not what
Okay.
has already
Well,
passed.
Okay.
That's the point. Yeah.
Maybe I could just add a little more color to that. I think one of the things we heard sometime recently was that TNTech also owed NGC a large amount,
Right.
which should be settled.
Right.
So in this particular rate determination, we have actually put in there the net between what TNTech owes to the NGC and what is owed to TNTech by the state agencies. So in fact, there is a net payable to NGC. That is what is in the rate determination. So I think members of the public could take a certain amount of comfort that they're not being asked to settle
Those-
receivables to TNTech.
Right.
Of course, that is not necessarily the final position. As part of this whole process, we go back to TNTech, we go back to the ministry eventually, and there are proposals on the table that can really just settle all of
Yeah.
this.
Are you guys able to put anything in place to say you're gonna be able to protect against vulnerable and low income people when you're
Of
doing
course,
the rate increase?
that is one of the major concerns of the chairman and commissioners, to ensure that persons who are considered vulnerable, and we have to determine what level of income that is.
Right.
If, for instance, we say it is people who receive government grants or pensions and that type of thing, the first tranche or first tier of the rates, 1 to 200 kilowatt hours, that is geared to ensure that people in the lowest incomes can have what we consider the basic needs. We call it the Lifeline rate.
Okay.
So because we have estimated what consumption.
Just to break that down, right? Because I don't know exactly how much I use it on a monthly basis in terms of kilowattage, right?
Okay.
So how do we determine that? How much power is that?
Okay, well, we have determined through one of our engineers that if you have a refrigerator, a television, 2 fans in your house, a radio, that say 6 or 8 bulbs,
Right.
with that, you will use 200 kilowatts just over for 2 months at the existing rates.
Okay.
So basically, we've looked
Okay.
at that and said, okay, this should be sufficient for a household that might be considered.
But from the time you could put in AC and thing, you could pay more.
Well,
That's essentially what we're saying.
Well, I think that's a logical conclusion.
A logical conclusion.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Now, I know you had the consultation process. Can people still get involved? Individuals, businesses, can they still get involved in that consultation? Is that doesn't go on already?
no, this is the start.
Okay.
This is the consultation
Yeah, yeah.
process here. We are actually here today as part of the consultation process. This afternoon we will be in Tunapuna, and on Thursday we will be in Arima.
Fantastic.
And those are the first public consultations, as it were. We've come out to the press, we've gone to our special interest group TARP, we did that last week Thursday. But we will be along the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago.
I think I remember by looking at the show at something that I heard you said you're from Diego Martin.
Yeah.
We are going to be in Diego Martin as well. So
Nice.
Yeah.
But can we get the information as to where you will be and when you will be there online? It's on your website or?
it will be on the website.
Okay.
What we are doing now is finalizing some of the locations and the times. As soon as those are completed, that will be on our website.
And I hope that you send it back to us so we can let people know if they may not be accessible to online, and
Sure,
we can definitely share that information as well.
But if you'll allow me, I'll take the opportunity to say next week we will be in Tobago. We'll be in Tobago Monday and Tuesday. We're going to the radio station there We're going to meet with the chamber. We're going to meet with other special interest group in
Fantastic.
Tobago.
One of the things people will be concerned about as well is, all right, we have these potential rate increase, et cetera, but how do we hold TNTech accountable for the future, for what we expect to get, like you say, when you expect to be delivered, to pay more, you expect to get better service. How do we hold them accountable?
One of the things we have, but which you might not know about, is something called quality of service standards. And there are 9 guaranteed standards. And when TNTech fails to meet any of those, a customer is entitled to a rebate, a minimum of $60 on their bill.
Mr. Khan.
And this has been happening.
Mr. Khan, have you ever tried to get one of those rebates?
No, this is automatic, except for one case. So you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
I'm not talking about if your refrigerator goes bad. I'm not talking about that.
What we talking about then?
Let me just give you an example.
Please, because I want us to be clear on this. Yeah.
I have actually received those rebates.
For when your fridge breaks down, and things?
Yes, and not because I identified myself as, chair. In fact, this was prior to me being the chair of the RIC. I had a television, and there was an outage. I called. There's a form you fill out. My actual television was no longer available, and I got the money to fund a comparable, equal. In fact, it had more features because, as you know, technology becomes obsolete, and so.
How long did the process take?
It probably took about 2 months.
I can leave this video, but I'll tell you another thing. When we went to TAP last week, one of the TAP representatives indicated that he had a problem with his washing machine and made a complaint to TNTech, and within 2 weeks, he got reimbursed.
Okay, because I've heard people complain in the past about the length of time it takes to get the reimbursement, especially for something like a refrigerator.
Yeah.
Because if if you had food in your fridge and it go on bad and your fridge stopped working, it'll be a little bit difficult to find something to store.
But these standards are not about those types of things.
Right, so these standards are about
other things,
All right, so I see response and restoration of supply, billing punctuality, reconnection after the payment of overdue bills.
Right.
So all these are some of the things that we're going to take into consideration going forward.
But these have been established since 2004, and they are current.
How do we hold them? So how do we hold TNTech accountable?
No, like I said, for these things, if this happens, TNTech has 2 options. One, if they can't do anything about the problem, they ask for us to give them what is considered to be a waiver. But if it is that they are culpable, they must compensate all customers affected by any of these issues. We also have something called the Code of Practice, which tells TNTech how it should deal with customers. So for instance, if a vulnerable person can't pay their bill, TNTech can't just go and cut them off. They have to call them, find out why they're not paying the bill, and make arrangements for how they can pay the bill going forward. So
TNTech has a list of the vulnerable people, or they just have to call everybody?
No. Well, I'm saying they have a data of customers, so they know the characteristics of their customers, right?
Okay.
So if they identify that this person is having problems paying frequently, they're supposed to reach out to this person, talk to them, say, look, let's make an arrangement for how you can pay your bill. They don't just go and cut them off. So those are in the codes of practice.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. The 10 minutes is fly by so fast when we're having these interesting conversations. But before we wrap, I do want to give you the opportunity for any closing comments.
Well, just to encourage people to come out to the consultation. It's actually a very important part of this whole rate review process. That's where we get an opportunity to hear your concerns, clarify, any issues that anyone may have. And we would actually change the rate between the draft determination and the final. We would include areas where, there's merit to it and so on. So it's very important. Please come out and participate.
Definitely, Mr. Khan.
Yeah, well, that I want to reinforce that point, because some people think that this is just an exercise in publicity.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if you want anybody to change their mind about something that they have said, you have to provide a compelling argument. So if we get those kinds of compelling arguments, then we are going to be forced to relook our position and adjust accordingly.
So basically, what Mr. Khan is saying is the power is in your hands. What you have to do is come out to the consultation and basically state your claim. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning, and all the best going forward with the consultation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's the chairman of RIC, Ms. Dawn Calendar, as well as executive director at the RIC, Mr. Glenn Khan, checking in with us to give us a little update and some clarity on what's going on in terms of the draft determination for the electricity transmission and distribution sector of Trinidad and Tobago. We take a quick break and we come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned.
Sun gone down. Check how the people come feel the ground. Nothing but bad girl won't come surround.